All right, Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, has officially announced that vaccine passes are going to be dropped. Huge news, and it comes 3 weeks to the day after the Wellington protest ended. Very interesting. I was watching her answers at the end, and it's interesting because she says that the protest made no impact whatsoever. But what she's done is they've looked at modelling for where things are going to end. They've looked at modelling, saying, are we in the peak or are we not in the peak, and used that as a deciding factor, only the modelling for Auckland as a deciding factor to decide if we keep passes or not. Now, the reason I find that so funny is because the modelling has been wrong the entire time. The entire time in New Zealand's COVID response that they've tried to use modelling, it has been wrong. So you can say that the protest made no difference, but what's the one thing that did change over the last 3 weeks? I've still got that fire extinguisher. Her poll results. Her poll results are the only thing that has actually really changed. We've got the highest amount of cases we've ever had, but now she announces the dropping of mandates starting on the 4th of April. There are a few things. Masks are still going to be required. However, if people have read the COVID response bill, you know that the legislation states it doesn't actually say that you have to have a mask exemption. It doesn't say that. The response doesn't say that. What it does say is if you have any condition that makes it unsuitable, that you decide personally that makes it unsuitable, you don't have to wear one. So what that could be is it could make you a bit dizzy. That's your condition, is that you get dizzy. Your condition could be that it gives you anxiety or it stresses you out. That is all you need in your own mind to not need to wear a mask, according to the legislation. The mask exemptions are handy for people that want something physical to show someone. You can get one literally anywhere, and you're completely within your rights to use one wherever you find one. Completely within your rights, as long as there's a condition that you feel personally makes it unsuitable. So, very exciting, very exciting. We've got a couple of OIAs which we are filming videos about. They're going to be a little bit more in-depth videos because there's a few things she said today that we can prove she's not telling the truth about. So I'm really excited to release those videos to you because I think the timing of this is just phenomenal. And someone said nothing to do with the protest. This was their plan all along. No, her plan was to do it once all the cases came over the peak, is what she said, but only to small amounts. Whereas she's announced within 3 weeks of the protest, after her poll numbers completely plummet, that they're going to relax all of the regulations in red. However, and then also in orange as well, and then green stays the same. However, healthcare workers, there will still be some workers that will be required to have passes, and what that does include is the booster shot. Now, I find this fascinating because, again, she loves her modelling and she likes to pretend like we're talking about statistics, but then she's not looking at the real life data. Like, what about Gibraltar and Israel? What about these countries that have implemented the boosters and it's not working? What about them? Does that not matter anymore? This is what blows my mind. I just find it ridiculous. Anyway, so there won't be all healthcare workers. She did say that they're looking at how they can reassess the amount of healthcare workers and what positions they work in that will still need it. But private businesses can still use passes. So private businesses could effectively decide, oh, no, we're completely jabbed anyway. And that's within their rights. And this is the problem. And this is the problem that the Privacy Commissioner said way back in September, is that you've got a massive problem where private businesses will use this as a reason to kind of virtue signal out to the world and out to the rest of the country. And that's exactly what they've done, and she has not addressed that. So in terms of actual governance, what are we helping? Do you think healthcare will include gyms? No, it doesn't. But again, like I said, private businesses can do what they want. And she was asked if people who lost their jobs will get them back. Again, she said, well, they might get hired back, but it's not saying, yes, these people will need their jobs back. Nothing at all like that. She was really, really pleading for these boosters, which I just find hilarious. We have had 21,000 cases announced on Tuesday, but we only have 15 deaths with COVID, not from, with COVID. And you guys need to understand the importance of that. Alan Simmons, Sue Gray, the lawyer Sue Gray's partner, he was assaulted during the protest. He broke his hip. He went to hospital. They did one rat test and said that he was positive for COVID. And so he was in hospital as a COVID case from the protest. However, they would not retest him. He had no symptoms. So then you can think how many people are in hospital that they don't retest, they don't have any symptoms, and the possibility of false positives is very high. So when we look at that figure, 21,000 cases, 15 deaths with COVID, not from, why is she still running on this campaign of fear? Why is she not saying, hey guys, we're at the highest cases we've ever had. We've had a few deaths maybe from COVID. We've had a number that are only with. We don't need to be terrified of this anymore. Let's move forward united as a country. Why is she not saying that when that's what the data is actually reflecting? That's what our real-time data is reflecting. But the fear campaign for her has been phenomenal. You go through and look at the legislation that has been passed over the last 2 years and been passed through in a rush. I'm talking the House has been given 24 hours to review legislation before she wants them to read it, before she wants them to vote on it. It is insane. So the fact that she's been able to do this for 2 years, of course she doesn't want this to go away. Not just yet. Not when there's more legislation to go through. Something that I think you guys really need to look at. Read now, 2nd of March, exactly 3 weeks ago. I've just written a few notes here to make sure I don't forget everything. Something that I think everyone right now needs to be hyper aware of. There's a lot of talk about minor leaders and minor parties coming together to try and get rid of Labour. Now, from what I can see, I've met a lot of these guys, right? Obviously, these minor party leaders, different freedom-based leaders. I've talked to a lot of people. The one thing that I honestly find in common with all of them, they all think that they are the best. And I'm not kidding. All the leadership from all these different places think, I'm going to be the party that'll get there. Everyone will back me. I'll get the biggest and it'll be great. And when I'm meeting these guys, I keep telling them the same thing. I said, unless you all come and band together and show the nation that you can actually work together and show the nation that you guys can unite in the minor parties, that will give them something big enough to go, hey, these guys know how to work together. Maybe we can trust them with the country. But if you can't even work together on the small stage, how can people back you on the big stage? And I just think if you're a member of a minor party and you agree with this, I say petition your leadership. Go to them and say, hey, who are you planning on working with and to what extent? Because we need 140,000 votes to get that 5% threshold. So if you've got 50, 90,000 followers on Facebook, whatever it is, it's not enough. It's nowhere near enough. And I'm not saying 90,000 for me because I don't want to be in Parliament, but it's nowhere near enough to get that 5% threshold. So give up your ego and just actually try and work with other people, because that's what they're all mad that Jacinda didn't do. They're mad that Jacinda hasn't worked with the people. They're mad she hasn't listened to the people. And they're mad that she doesn't lead by example. And yet the minor leaders are going and doing exactly the same thing that she did. You're not better if you're jumping on the same wagon and wanting your own form of self-absorbed tyranny. So that's my 2 bits. I know that sounds really harsh, but that's just how I see it. And I just want to call it as straight up as I can. Holly said something interesting just here. I thought it was strange. She said, do not delete the QR app. Why is that? When it's not needed, why would anyone keep it unless it's a tracking device? These apps are a building block to a much larger system. And if you go and look at the Bank of England at the G7 summit, so go onto their own website, don't trust anything I'm saying, go onto the Bank of England, look at their G7 summit and what they're wanting to introduce. They're talking about a digital, a centralized digital currency. Now, if you guys know anything about crypto and about cryptocurrency, normal crypto like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of that, it's decentralized. So what it means is that you as an individual, if you own that currency, you own part of that platform. Whereas if they want to centralize it, it means that the banks will have full control over your digital currency. And what they've said in this G7 summit, they've said that it will allow you to effectively use it, and now this is me paraphrasing, but effectively use it like vouchers. So not like currency. So currency on a free market, you can go out and you can buy whatever you want. You can say, right, I want this pink rhino. And you can buy it. Your money, do with it what you want. Under this centralized system, they'll give you vouchers that say, you can go and spend this at this government approved business. Do you see the problem in that? When we have got widespread corruption throughout the world, including corruption in our own government, it does exist, don't pretend it doesn't. When we've got this already within our country, which is one of the best countries in the world, how can you imagine when the free market doesn't exist and when they are given the option of who they want you to spend money with? Do you think there'll be backdoor deals? Do you think there'll be handshake agreements? Absolutely. Because that's just business in general, especially when you're looking at a huge scale. And this is the problem when socialism turns into communism, because they are about complete control and they're about complete power. And that is what the centralized digital currency will give them. Don't take my word for it. Go and look at what the World Economic Forum wants to do. Go and look at the Bank of England and the G7 summit. These are the leadership of the world. And one question that I would put to mainstream media that might see this, why are you not talking about it? Why are you not telling people the danger of this? If you think that you're independent, and if you claim to be independent and you claim you're not government owned, that's the biggest story of our generation. The biggest, hands down, where the government can tell you what you can buy and with how much money, and they can monitor every transaction and use it as a social system. That is the biggest story that we've ever seen. So your lack of saying anything says something. It says that you obviously are corrupt, because if you weren't, you'd be talking about this. Or maybe you're just hamstrung, but you would be talking about this because this is the biggest story in the world right now. The fact that a very, very small amount of people are going to get complete control of everybody and complete control of the free market. That is terrifying. Someone said, oh, I'd love to see you guys join with Matt King. I'd love to see everyone work together. That's how I see it. I don't even think it's a work with this one person. I think it's how many groups can you get all at once to work together, because that's where power comes from. And I think that it needs to be a democratic thing where you're like, right, who do you want as leader? Let's every member vote, and you build it up like that, because it just doesn't make sense to me for all these little minor parties to keep sprouting up. Say, for example, 30%, let's throw it at quite a big number, 30% of people disagree with mandates and want to change. If you have got 8 parties vying for that 30%, it is very, very, very difficult. And out of that 30%, if they disagree with mandates, some will still be traditionally Labour, thinking that, oh, well, maybe things will change. Some will still be National. Some will still be ACT voters. So then you take that out. Some will still be multi-party. Take them out. And then you've got 8 little minor parties all fighting for the rest of that chunk. It doesn't work. It really, really doesn't. And they underestimate the amount of money, effort, and time that it takes to actually get into Parliament. It is a huge move. Someone here said, communism and socialism are a married couple, really? Absolutely. So when she says that she's a leader of the socialist youth, and she doesn't say that she's changed, Jacinda has never said that she has changed. So I'm wagging my pencil everywhere. But she's never said that. She's never been like, oh no, I take that back. No. She's a proud, extreme socialist. And the International Union of Socialism, the International Youth Union of Socialism, is run by communists. It started by communists, run by communists. So I'm going to leave it there. There's a lot more that we can talk about, but I feel like we've talked quite a lot already. Someone said, who's a party that we should vote for? Well, what I'm waiting for is for all these groups to get over their egos, unite as one, and then vote for that. That's actually what I'm waiting for. And I know that there'll be people that go, oh, it might be bad branding to be associated with this person and this person and that person. What all of these guys keep doing is announcing a party, running out there alone and saying, follow me. And that's exactly what they hate in governance. What they're not doing is saying, hey guys, how can we all work together to the best of our abilities and work as one unit and actually be democratic in how we go about existing and get people on board before we announce our party and before we move forward. That's what they're not doing, and that's what they need to do, because it just genuinely worries me, because I've seen this so many times with all these minor parties where one, and it's, to be honest, it's typically a dude. It just is. That's how it's been. It's normally a guy gets up there and he says, follow me, I am the champion, I will lead you to a better existence. Paraphrasing again. And it doesn't work every time. It doesn't work, because the reality is people don't normally connect on a mass scale with just one person unless you have a huge amount of money to spend on branding and a huge amount to spend on marketing. And even then, I know you guys will remember Top back in the day, they spent $1 million on advertising and didn't get anywhere close to 2%. It's not easy. It doesn't happen overnight, and it takes a lot of people working really, really, really hard, and that means working together. If you can't work together now, how are you going to work together in government? If you can't persuade people to work with you now and people to cooperate and people to have to negotiate and compromise, how on earth are you going to do that for the entire country? So that's my 2 cents. Yeah, I know even Dad's been trying to get people to work together, but then their egos just take over and they don't. And I just think it's really sad. I just think it's so silly. And Dad's not even trying to say it as a let me be the leader, not at all. He's all about complete democracy in terms of voting. But I do find it frustrating, because even in the last election, I mean, it takes so much time and so much effort and so many resources, and so many people work so hard just for a very, very, very small amount to stuff it up with their egos. And that's why I find it really difficult. Cool. All right, guys. Like I said, that Ukraine video is coming out. We just filmed it 2 days ago. There's a whole lot of resources and reference that I'm adding into that video. So it's going to take a little long time over the next couple of days to try and get all of those references in there because it's massive and there's a lot going on. And it's not saying that Ukraine is good. It's not saying Russia is good. These are some of the most corrupt countries, and the people in these countries, the innocents, are the ones that are suffering. And this video is all about the history of communism and of socialism and how America and New Zealand are actually part of it as well. So very, very interesting. I'm really thankful to the expert that came on and talked with me. He's written over 30 books about communism and socialism all around the world. He's a very in-depth researcher and an investigative journalist, and yeah, really cool. So he now works over in America. So I'm excited to bring that one out to you guys. All right, thanks team, exciting for us. I definitely think, well, we do know that the protest had a huge impact on moving up this time frame. So congratulations to everyone that gave, to everyone that pushed all the videos out to show what was really going on, because I definitely think that the media is the reason why her polling dropped. Because people saw what really happened that day. They saw, and even over that 23 days, they saw how kind and good people were. They saw how loving they were. They saw how much they gave out to each other. And then to turn around and see things absolutely brutalized without even a conversation. The only reason she dropped in the polls was because people saw what was going on and they were shocked. And I mean, it could have, actually, no, that's not the only reason. There've been numerous reasons, businesses that have been really affected, everything like that. But it was a significant drop in a really short amount of time. And the media had a huge amount to play in that. So thank you guys so much for all of your help. And we've got a lot to come. We've been interviewing some really interesting, really amazing people. And we've been focusing particularly on local elections. Local elections are so important because unlike big elections, it's often just small independent people, and it's really good people, you know, it's people that have run really great productive businesses rather than just a chicken and a fish and chip shop. It's people that have run amazing businesses that are now going for local body elections, and they're saying, I know how to do this, I can make a difference, I'm not afraid to actually confront the issues. So I'm really passionate about voting in local body elections. Everybody needs to. If you're in Auckland or Tauranga or Christchurch or wherever you are, go and sign up so that you can vote in your local bodies. It is so important, and we can get really great independent people in there really easily, because in all honesty, hardly anyone votes in those. It's not like the big election where millions turn out to vote, not at all. So sign up, go and vote in your local bodies, and actually we're going to be interviewing a whole lot of different people that are running for councils and things like that, so that we can bring you guys a perspective of them that's different, that you might not see. And I want to, when I go and chat with someone, I'm trying to find out what makes them go as a human. Like, where's their drive come from? Like, what do they love? Who are they as a person? Because as much as you can have what you want to accomplish, if people don't know you, they don't know who they're voting for. And that's why I think it's really important that you know the person inside rather than just what they're talking about wanting to do, because actions speak louder than words. So let's find out who these people are. All right, guys, awesome. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon, and I cannot wait to go out with everyone for a cheeky couple of cocktails when all these are dropped and all the friends can get together in one area. All right, ciao, bye.